Why are we so separate? Because we do it to ourselves. Actually, people just are so sad. It hurts my feelings. Like seeing people be so standoffish towards other people too. Like debating is what people do. People just debate back and forth. Like, oh, my opinions. Oh, well, those are your opinions. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not really listening. I'm just going to tell you how I feel. But it's like, why not listen to somebody and why not take to heart? People don't take to heart. People don't care about people's hearts or hurting their feelings anymore. They're all about, like, oh, I'm gonna f up this person, I'm gonna hurt them, or I don't care how they feel. Nobody cares. Like people have stopped caring, and people are just out for themselves, and that's all they care about. And it's like we weren't meant to just be by ourselves. We live in a world where there's like billions of people. Like you have got to be nice. Like, you know?
When the agenda is political polarization, then the facts mean nothing, right? And if you're in a situation where that is the agenda of the majority, you're in trouble.
You can be the most far left Democrat and have one thing in common with the most far right Republican. You don't take 5 seconds of your time to be quiet and listen to each other, you'll never even get what that one thing is and never figure anything out or never get anything straight. I mean, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, what do you think it means that it happens a lot? That we just are at cross purposes?
sometimes I think it's people don't care, or people don't have simple common courtesy as to listen to people. I mean, that's one of the most basic things that's taught in or not high school. It needs to be taught in high school, but pre-K. Sit down. If you want to speak, raise your hand so that way the entire class can hear you. I mean, that's a lesson a lot of politicians need to learn. Sit down, raise your hand, let the person who's speaking speak, listen, because you just might learn something, regardless of your viewpoint. Uh, any politician, conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, independent, any of them, they all have a listening problem. Not a one of them is willing to hear anybody out. And I think that's so far gone from what we're supposed to be. How are we going to grow? We're not.
Be true to you. Main thing, you got to be true to you. And that's the hardest job in life,
Yeah.
is being true to yourself. Because when you get true to yourself, then you'll be true to other people.
And if you feel loved, because if someone just trying to pacify you, and you can feel that, and that's not what it's about. And those people, they're not going to come back because they know that you weren't really listening to them because you didn't really love them.
That people, what you're saying about listening, and usually, what Jesus said this, he said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when we give people the floor for a few minutes, we find out what they're about.
I try not to be cynical and I try not to be negative. Um, I try to be hopeful that I'm saddened by the evolution of race relations in our country. I'm saddened that, all these years after the civil rights movement, that we are where we are in regard to race relations, not just in Dothan, in our country. I'm saddened by the divisiveness of our country. I think if 911 showed us anything, it was that, to our enemies, we are all the same. We differentiate ourselves by race, by gender, by socioeconomics. Our enemies don't. When they blew up the tower, they didn't care. So I'm saddened that even in this day and age, there's so much divisiveness and segregation that still exists in areas in our society.
Mm-hmm.
But so do I try to tell children that? No. I try to keep it positive and you can do it and all you got to do is try and put forth your best effort.
It's my home. Uh, you know, Southern pride has been everything that I've been raised on. You know, Southern way of living and going to church and worshiping God and learning that, you know, being friendly and being nice to people is the best way to do things because, you know, it says in the Bible that the tongue is the most evil part of the body. And it's either we can use it in the right way, which is God's way, or we can use it in the wrong way, which is the world's way. So it's really been just the way of life for me. There's one, the flag itself right here, it just symbolizes Southern pride. But then the symbol that's on the outside of it is a Chevy symbol, which is a favorite truck. And I love Chevy.
Right now we're standing on scales that were used to weigh crates and bales of cotton. This is the actual old scale here.
Things that are necessary to happen. There's a legacy to shedding, you know, 150 years of history, you know, history that's 150 years old, whose effects, you know, reverberate to some degree in the perception of the area.
It's just the I guess the standard that they set in the South itself. I mean, not actually the color. It's just a standard that they said. I guess slavery was the hardest thing, and it's like slavery is still here, but they just don't put you on chains and put you in a house and beat you up no more, you know. But they use it through technology, through the area that you live in. You know, it's like they take it from making you feel like it, but they are doing it to you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They give you a job, but they're not gonna give you enough to survive, you know?
Everybody thinks that their problems are bigger than everybody else's problems, and everybody's stopped caring about everyone else's problems. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, you got a bunch of bills. Well, guess what I got? I got a bunch of bills. It's all about me, when it should be about we, you know? Like, there's no more we. It's all about separating themselves. Like, they don't want to be part of a family. Like families are like, the definition of a family is like destroyed. Like, people like maybe on a Sunday come together, but that's maybe because of church, you know? It's like you gotta, and that's another thing. Like,
Tells you something when everybody's moved from the northern part of America down to the southern. Remember, we was always noted for crop growing or cattle. It's going on here in this area. And it's not going to slow up. It's going to get better every year.
And seeing what's really going on here versus the perception across the country from that time has been really remarkable for me. It's been energizing and inspiring in a lot of ways. And oh yeah, you're a Southern guy. So to me, it was like coming home. But I got to see what it looked like to, you know, people sitting in these urban areas, right? And in sort of a condescending little bit of an attitude, right? And they go, that's okay, Mike, you want to go do that, that's cool, right? But we're not leaving Boston no matter what.
It is, and if you know, I look at it just from like here, like me and my brother Van and my cousin Derek that you may have talked to, I don't know, they're at church. So if you look at, you know, where we grew up, and then now look at where we're at now, you know, we all live in either in cities or have bought places, like my brother, you know, like he bought a house in a subdivision on less than an acre of land, you know, whereas we came from a place that had this large amount of acreage and that kind of thing. Same thing with my cousin. He bought a house in a subdivision in Murfreesboro. They both live there, and so
I think, in a sense, a large portion of society has actually become complacent with what we have because of the fact that we've come a long way, you know, because of the fact that extremism now does not look at like extremism the 1960s. A lot of those sacrifices, unfortunately, have been taken for granted. However, it still will result in political disempowerment. You know, when you don't really see the value in voting, or you don't see the value in, or it's so easy to just throw your hands up and say, look, I'm out of here, dropping out of school. The end result of that is going to be political disempowerment. And you will move into an era of extreme oppression again.
Well, I think that's figuring out how to talk to each other is a very important aspect to whether you're working in a company, or whether it's in your family, or whether it's in our government. It's certainly, you have to be able to communicate, and sometimes that's difficult when you're at odds on issues. But it's not limited to Tea Party people that are frustrated. We look at the polls. Folks on the other end of the spectrum are frustrated. When you have a congressional approval rating that's below 10%, then clearly a lot of Democrats are frustrated too. So when we're frustrated, oftentimes you have people begin to yell and scream and rant and rave, and that doesn't help the conversation. I realize that. But that is a natural human response when you're frustrated. We do that a lot.
Yeah, I consider myself American. I think I've always considered myself American. Like, I mean, like, it's kind of hard to say, because it's like, you know where your heritage was at. You were here, like, you know, like, way before, like, you existed. But then, like, whenever you're looking at American society, it's way different from Native American society. It's all like, you have to, like, live in American society for, like, politics and, like, you know, like the president and stuff like that, like, and you don't like see any traditional stuff, and it's kind of hard because, like, you gotta go through voting and go through all of these things, and, like, as a Native American, it's like,
I think that's one of the things that's seriously an issue, is our traditions are fading majorly. You barely see traditional things anymore. And if they are traditional, it's the new update traditional. It's pre-done to where it's half of most of the stuff that actually makes it traditional is gone.
It's Americanized.
Yeah, it's modern
Right.
Americanized.
It's modernized, and it's not keeping any of the culture like it's supposed to be. That's why it is traditional. It's supposed to be cultural, and it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think that Native America are actually trying to keep their traditions alive. That's why they have powwows and stuff like that, like all around the world. Like, not just on reservations anymore, but they're bringing them to, like, casinos and stuff like that to promote them, just to, like, keep it alive, to say, hey, look, like, the Native American society, we're still here. It's just that, you know, like, hey, you want to kind of help us out here? I mean, like, we're trying to put ourselves out there to let you guys know that, you know, like, we need you guys. We need America. Like, we need you guys because, like, we're dying off. Like, we do need the government to help them. We really do. Because, like, they left them in, like, the crappiest homes and stuff like that. When they can help them, it's just that, I don't know why they just don't choose not to.
Things are going to go differently now. Things are happening now. Somewhere down the line, if our generation doesn't pay attention to it, it'll be too late. And we need to know, you know, if something's not good, we need to know how it happened, how it got there, and how to change it. So it's good for everyone, not just good for a little minority or something. It needs to be good for the entire group. But at the same time, you know, that would probably be going for a utopian society, which can't work. But if you just take 5 seconds to listen to somebody, I mean, you can work something out. There's always something that can be worked out. You can't just sit back and both sides agree on nothing. That's not possible.
Inclusiveness means I am part of, I am owner of, I am a citizen of, I am productive in, I am participating in, I have a place, I have a voice, I am a part, I am with you. I am you. That's the inclusiveness. When we start to allow segregation and separation and start to diminish, demean, or X out the inclusiveness, we really X out ourselves, our own ambitions, our own productivity.
Anything else you want to add?
God bless everybody, and may we continue to love each other and demonstrate love for one another.
Thank you for talking to me.
Yes, sir.